Let's go.
Welcome to the Top of Your Game podcast with Dr. Floyd. The show is dedicated to helping you grow, thrive, and do your best work. Dr. Floyd believes there's greatness within you, and the show is designed to help you live your dream, do your best work, and leave a legacy. Now, here's Dr. Floyd.
Welcome to the Top of Your Game podcast, the podcast for high achievers ready to unlock their greatness, master their minds, and live with unstoppable momentum. I'm Dr. Floyd. Today we are going to tackle a topic that hits close to home for anyone who has ever felt broken, beaten, or overwhelmed by life's challenges. We're talking about how to get stronger when weakness gets strong. How to get stronger when weakness gets strong. Now, we all have moments when life seems to push us to the edge, when our weaknesses feel bigger than our strengths, don't we? But here's the truth. Your weakness doesn't define you. It can actually be the very thing that builds your strength. And so today I'm going to share my story, science-based strategies, and practical steps to turn weakness into unstoppable power. Now, I want to start with some of my own journey because I've been there. Yes, I've been there. There was a time in my life when I felt completely inadequate. I remember early in my career, I had big dreams of helping people transform their lives, but I was overwhelmed by self-doubt. Been there. I remember sitting in my small apartment, just staring at a stack of bills, wondering if I would ever make a real impact. I thought about it. I tried coaching, I tried public speaking, but I failed more times than I can count. Yes, I failed more times than I can count. I lost clients. I gave talks that flopped. And in those moments, my weakness felt stronger than my ambition. But here's the turning point. Here's a turning point. I realized that every time I hit rock bottom, I had a choice. Every time I hit rock bottom, I had a choice. I could stay crushed under the weight of my limitations, or I could use them as a foundation to get stronger. And science backs this up. Now, let's break this down. Let's break this down for a minute. There's a concept in psychology called post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that people don't just survive trauma. They can actually grow stronger because of it. Research shows that when we face adversity, our brains have the ability to rewire themselves, creating resilience, mental toughness, and even new skills. And it's not just mental. Your body works the same way. Now, think about muscles. When you lift weights, you create micro tears in your muscle fibers. That's weakness. But as your body repairs itself, it comes back stronger. The same principle applies to life. Another scientific concept is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, adapt, and grow through experiences. So your weaknesses, when faced head on, can trigger neuroplastic changes that improve problem solving, emotional regulation, and resilience. So when weakness gets strong, It's actually an opportunity, a signal that growth is possible. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually get stronger when your weakness feels overwhelming? Here are the steps I've personally used and taught my clients to create real change. Step number one, face your weakness. Don't run from it. In other words, you've got to confront it. When I first failed as an entrepreneur, my instinct was to hide, avoid, or blame others. But growth starts when you acknowledge what is wrong. Science says that self awareness activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making and self regulation. So, facing your weakness literally strengthens your brain. Step number two, reframe failure as feedback. So, every time you fail, it's data, not a verdict on your worth. I remember one talk I gave early on. Only three people showed up. I could have quit, but I analyzed why it flopped, adjusted my approach, and that single failure shaped how I later approached keynotes and big events. Step number three, build mental toughness. Now, mental toughness isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being resilient under pressure. One framework I use is the 4 C's of mental toughness: control, commitment, challenge, and confidence. Now, control means has to do with focusing on what you can influence. Commitment says you ought to stay consistent even when it's hard. How about challenge? Challenge sees obstacles as opportunities. And confidence means trusting your ability to grow. The fourth step, develop small wins. Now, strength compounds over time, so start small. I use micro habits, daily writing, daily calls, daily learning to regain momentum. Research shows that celebrating small wins releases dopamine, reinforces behavior, and building confidence. Number five, surround yourself with growth minded people. Your environment shapes you. Early on, I was around people who doubted me, and I doubted myself. When I found mentors and a supportive community, my growth accelerated. Science called this social contagion. Social contagion of resilience means we adopt the mindset and behaviors of those around us. And number six, embrace the discomfort. You see, weakness gets strong because we avoid the hard stuff. Growth happens when you step into it. So think of stress like weightlifting for your life. Properly managed stress strengthens your nervous system, your mindset, and your confidence. Now, let's translate this into action. Regarding your career, when you fail at a project or presentation, analyze what went wrong. Learn, adjust, and try again. Each failure builds competence. Regarding health and fitness, push your limits physically, but safely. Weakness, like sore muscles, signals growth. Regarding relationships, facing conflict, vulnerability, or emotional challenges strengthens emotional intelligence. I've seen clients completely transformed by embracing their weaknesses instead of hiding them. One executive I worked with thought she was too soft to lead. We reframed her sensitivity as strength, building empathy and influence. And now she leads her team like a powerhouse. Now, here's the bottom line. Weakness is not the enemy. Weakness signal. It tells you exactly where to focus, exactly where growth is waiting. I've been where you are, feeling small, inadequate, and overwhelmed. And I can tell you, the moment I leaned into my weakness instead of hiding from them, my strength exploded. My career, my confidence, my impact, they all grew because I didn't avoid my cracks. I filled them with purpose and action. So today, I want you to ask yourself, where is my weakness? Where is your weakness getting strong? Face it, learn from it, and let it make you unstoppable. Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Top of Your Game. Remember, when weakness gets strong, that's your cue to rise. Start small, stay consistent, and trust that your strength is growing. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share it with someone who needs this message, and leave a review. And if you're ready to take your life and performance to the next level, check out my coaching program, Top of Your Game, at floydspence.com. Until next time, live your dream, do your best work, and leave a legacy. Let's get after it.
Let's go.